Hi, everybody. This is Jim. Welcome back to Great Books, Big Ideas. 'Tis the season for book sales. We're coming on to late winter, early spring. This is Saturday, February 24th, 2024. And I just went to my first major book sale of the season. I don't know what it's like in your area, but to me, all the great library sales and other book sales seem to happen around this time of year, leading into through spring into early summer. And then sometimes you'll see a few more in the fall. But this is the peak season for book sales. And I have a bunch of stuff I found. So this is a book haul video. I went to the Unionville High School book sale. It's an annual book sale that's held at the end of February each year, obviously. And it's they raise money for the high school to support their activities there. Unionville is a village that's close by to Kennett Square in Chester County, Pennsylvania, where I live. And it's a huge sale. The parking lot was packed. So I brought my grocery shopping bag. Stacy came along. Stacy found a bunch of books, lots of art books and things. And I collected this bag of books that I wanted to share with you and just make some quick comments. Some of these books, or a lot of them, I don't plan to keep long term. I might just read them and pass them on, but we'll get into it. And hopefully I made some good decisions. Tell me what you think of these choices. So we'll start with The Best of Isaac Asimov, 12 Superb Stories by the Master of Science Fiction. And let's let you know what's in here. I probably haven't read any of these stories. We'll find out. It's because it starts with 1939 and goes up to 1972. There's all the stories. I don't think I've read any of these. But Asimov, I love his Foundation series. And this is a nice mass market paperback. It's in good condition for its age. I dig the cover too. When was this printed? 1973. How about this one? Penguin Classics. Dostoevsky, The Devils. I think I prefer these older Penguin classics to the newer ones. I like the paper quality better. And this one was translated by David Magarshak. And I've read The Devils in a different translation, a much newer translation. And I forget who the translators were. And I wasn't really taken with that book. I'm a huge Dostoevsky fan, but this particular novel in that translation didn't do so much for me. So I'm always looking for Penguin Classics. So when I found this and it's in really nice shape, I sprung for it. I'm hoping this will be like a better translation for me. This was a good find. Library of America Mark Twain Mississippi Writings. And I do like the Library of America titles. And this includes Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Life on the Mississippi, Huckleberry Finn, and Pudd'nhead Wilson. You get them all here in one volume. And I took a chance on this because I thought maybe I already have this one. I just couldn't remember. And I don't have my books in a book database like I do for my records. So I just said, I don't think I've seen this on the shelf. I'm just going to get it. If it's a double, I'll just give it to somebody because it's in perfectly decent shape. Turns out I don't think I had it, so this was a nice pickup. I do have Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn and maybe Pudd'nhead Wilson in other editions. And I think I've read all of these books. Maybe not Pudd'nhead Wilson. I don't think I've read that one. Anyway, here's another Penguins classic. George Eliot, The Mill on the Floss. This was one of the first George Eliots that I read, and this is a nice old Penguin Classics edition that's not marked up at all. Just I like the way these older Penguins open. They're very supple, page weight, like beautiful edition. I don't remember much about this book. Let's read the blurb. The novel centers on Maggie Tulliver, whose passionate and imaginative nature brings her into conflict with the middle-class narrowness of St. Ogg's, and more poignantly, with her beloved brother Tom. The result is one of George Eliot's best-loved works, containing an affectionate and perceptive study of provincial life, a brilliant evocation of the complexities of human relationships, and a heroine whose rebellious spirit closely resembled George Eliot's own. This might have been the second George Eliot I read. The first was Silas Marner. So anyway, nice to get that one. I'll reread it someday. This is a book I've heard of, but I don't really know a lot about it. Cold Comfort Farm, the comic classic of rural life. And this is also a Penguin. Let's read the blurb on this one. Do you know this book? I probably should know this better. Stella Gibbons is the author. When the Succubind was in bud, the orphaned Flora Post, expensively, athletically, and lengtheningly educated, descended on her relatives at Cold Comfort Farm. There were plenty of them. Judith, alone in her grief, Amos, called by God, Seth, smoldering with sex, Elfine, who needed a little polish, Irk, Rennet, Harkaway, Caraway, etc., and of course, great aunt Ada Doom, who saw something nasty in the woodshed, and Flora felt it incumbent upon her to bring order into chaos. First published in 1932, when it attracted considerable attention, Cold Comfort Farm still remains a classic of its kind. In it, Stella Gibbons explores the theme of one sane character amidst a group of violent types, and with her wicked and witty pen, brilliantly parodies the earthy, melodramatic novels of the period. Anyway, I thought I would give this a shot. Looks like fun. This is another mass market paperback, Richard Wright, Black Boy. Another wonderful cover. It's in very good condition. A couple dog-eared pages and some staining on the edge, but this is in great shape. A little bit of, it's been read, right? Black Boy, Richard Wright. And I think the only Richard Wright I've read is, you know, his big novel, Native Son. And maybe some short stories too. That's going to be a good read. How about this one? Understanding Media, The Extensions of Man by Marshall McLuhan. Nice vintage cover there. McGraw-Hill. McLuhan is sort of crazy, but he's like a fun intellect. I mean, he's just on some other plane of existence, but very prescient and prophetic in so many of his ideas. And a little blurb here for you. Understanding Media raises two fundamental questions about the modern world. What are communications, and how do communications affect mankind? In answering these questions, Marshall McLuhan interprets the entire process of communication from the invention of movable type through the electronic age. I think I read this before, but it was in a crappier edition. This is a much nicer edition, and I'm not sure I read the whole thing. So when I'm in the mood for some media theory, there it is. We'll go back to Marshall. Here's a Penguin classic in a trade edition. Krishna, The Beautiful Legend of God, Srimad Bhagavata Purana, Book 10. I do like to collect these Eastern classics. And although I haven't read much of what I've collected so far, this is on the to-do list, books like this. So let's see what the blurb says here. The Beautiful Legend of God is the 10th and most significant book in the popular Indian epic Srimad Bhagavata Purana, which is the principal source for the story of the Krishna, worshipped in Hinduism as the supreme being. Devoted to Krishna's miraculous incarnation, it recounts his childhood and adolescence in the forest of Vrindavan, playing with his friends, dallying amorously with cowherd girls, and stealing butter to feed to the monkeys. Krishna emerges from these episodes as an immediately engaging figure, and the stories have inspired generations of artists, musicians, poets, and dramatists. They also contain invaluable insights into Hindu views on such matters as creation, cosmography, and the history of the subcontinent. New translation by Edwin F. Bryant. Nice. Beautiful cover art as well. Love my Penguin classics. Here's another one. Not Penguin. Orsinian Tales, Ursula K. Le Guin. And I had read her Earthseed trilogy a few years ago in this similar types of covers here. And I gave them away to the little library. I hope I said made someone's day. I put all three in the little library box. So the blurb here, the place is Orsinia, a land of medieval keeps standing guard above walled cities and of railways stretching across karsts to vanish in mountains where the old gods still live. A country of harsh realities and gentle dreams whose people feel torn apart by massive forces and fight courageously to remain whole. In these 11 finely wrought tales, Ursula K. Le Guin, award-winning author of the Earthseed trilogy, The Dispossessed and the Left Hand of Darkness, brings to mainstream fiction all the power and enchantment that have made her one of this country's foremost writers of science fiction and fantasy. So true, so true. I was happy to find this one. Probably read it this summer if I'm lucky. Here's another Penguin Classics from the East. Speaking of Shiva is a collection of vakanas, or free verse lyrics written by four major saints of the great Bhakti protest movement, which originated in the 10th century AD. Composed in Kannada, a Dravidian language of South India, the poems are lyrical expressions of love for the god Shiva. They mirror the urge to bypass tradition and ritual, to concentrate on the subject rather than the object of worship, and to express kinship with all living things in moving terms. Passionate, personal, fiercely monotheistic, these free verses possess an appeal which is timeless and universal. Let's see if they have a single. Yes, translated with an introduction by A.K. Ramanujan. Nice edition. Don't know anything about it, but it looks like fun. Here's another Isaac Asimov. I have the Foundation trilogy, but here's book 4. He came back to it later. And let's see what this sequel is all about. Beyond the Selden Plan. Harry Selden, the great psychohistorian, set up the Foundation to bypass millennia of barbarism and bring about a second empire in a mere 1,000 years. Now, 498 years after its founding, the Foundation seemed to be following the Selden Plan perfectly. Too perfectly. Golan Trevize was sure. Such perfection was impossible after the unpredictable disaster of the Mule, unless the supposedly destroyed Second Foundation was still controlling humanity. But his attempts to warn others had led only to his exile in space. Star Gendibal of the Second Foundation was also worried by that perfection and suspected tampering by an even greater power. Now he too had been sent into space to trace the strange mission of Travis. Behind both came the warships of the Foundation, risking Holocaust to utilize whatever Travis had found. He had found an impossible planet with even more impossible powers. Events had gone far beyond the Selden plan, and only Travis could save the plan or destroy it forever. First paperback publication of this. Anyway, I love the Foundation trilogy. Are the later volumes he wrote any good? You can let me know in the comments. Here we go with To Kill a Mockingbird. I have a confession to make. I have never read this book. So many students read it in school, public school, and somehow I got bypassed on it. It was never assigned to me. I never picked it up on my own. And this was a nice, clean copy of it. And I thought, well, this might be a fun read. And when we were checking out at the high school book sale, the girls check like how many books you have, and they tally it up, and they give you a slip, and then you take it to the checkout. They were remarking on how much they loved this book. So, To Kill a Mockingbird. Now I have it. Here's another Penguin. This is 20th Century Classics. Arnold Bennett, The Old Wives' Tale. This is an author, I forget who I was reading who was touting Arnold Bennett. He's been sort of forgotten. And whoever this was, I will never remember it, but they were saying like this, he's undeservedly overlooked. And he was popular back in the day, earlier in the 20th century. I think this is one of his more famous books. It's got an introduction and notes by John Wayne. And it's got a blurb by H.G. Wells. It at least doubles your size in my estimation. I am certain it will secure you the respect of all the distinguished critics who are now consuming gripe water and such like if you never write another line. H.G. Wells's warm enthusiasm for The Old Wives' Tale, written in 1908, has been echoed ever since. Bennett's best novel and a masterpiece, it tells the story of two sisters, Constance, who spends her life in their father's drapery shop in Bursley, married to the chief assistant, and Sophia, the spirited one, who elopes to Paris with Gerald Scales, an irresistible, unscrupulous commercial traveler who has inherited £12,000. It is one of the most successful attempts, if not the most successful, to rival in English the achievement of the French realistic novel, writes John Wayne. It is not John Wayne, the actor, by the way, W-A-I-N. It is one of the most complete and satisfying novels of English provincial life, and it is a standing proof that a writer of the male sex can write with real perception about the imaginative and emotional lives of women. So I'm looking forward to giving Arnold Bennett a try. I've never read a thing by him. Just that one critic got me intrigued and made me think, well, maybe I'm missing something there. And I'm always cheering for the underdogs in terms of literary reputation, as it were. This is a fun one I found. Haiku Mind, 108 Poems to Cultivate Awareness and Open Your Heart by Patricia Donegan. This is published by Shambhala. And what it appears to be is like they'll give you a haiku and then there appears to be commentary or like a response to the poem, something along those lines. And I'm a huge fan of haiku. I write haiku myself, and I just thought this looked like a fun read. Okay, we're getting through the bag. We're almost at the end. Maybe this is the last one. Yes, it is. Okay. The Complete Short Stories of Ernest Hemingway, the Finca Vigia edition in hardcover. And it looks like it's in perfect condition. Now, we might have a paperback edition of this. I know we used to have the paperback edition for this, and it was my daughter's when she was in high school. I think she had to read Hemingway, and she had to get that book. And the interesting thing about Hemingway, I'm not the Hemingway fan I used to be. He's fallen out of favor in a lot of ways for me. I've read a few of his novels, by no means all of them, and I had a bunch of them in hardcover. And as I was going through a book purge, I got rid of all those hardcovers, donated them, and the only book that we kept, the only books that we kept were In Our Time, which I think is his greatest book that I've read at least, and that complete short stories that was my daughter's, which still might be on the shelf, or maybe we passed it on. But this would be a nice replacement for that paperback, because this is a nice sturdy hardcover. There's our author in the back. I think Hemingway is, I don't want to like alienate people here, but I think he's overrated. But he is a great writer. He's unavoidable. Like, you have to confront him, and a very, very good short story writer. I think his short stories are far superior to his novels by and large. Anyway, that's not a bad book haul. Filled this bag, and I think my portion here like added up to like $28, something like that. So not too bad. And it'll be fun. It'll be fun to dig into these at some point in the undetermined future. Have you hit any library sales or high school book sales yet? This was our first of the season, and coming up, especially in April. April is a wonderful month for book sales around here. And I go to the website booksalefinder.com to locate up and coming sales. I find that an invaluable resource. And let me know if you've come across any recent book hauls from such sales. And let me know what you think of these books. Do you recommend any of them? Should I not read some of them and pass them on? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, folks. Hope to be back soon.